The air in the apartment felt heavier tonight, thick with that musty, stale smell that clung to the peeling wallpaper. I lay on the lumpy mattress, staring at the ceiling, the faint hum of the city outside barely audible over the creaks of the old building. It was 1:13 a.m., and I hadn't slept. How could I? The voice, my voice, still echoed in my head, soft and deliberate, like it was tasting every syllable of my name as it called from the darkness beyond the window. I'd followed the landlord's rule for the first week. It was easy enough at first. The neighborhood was rough, gunshots weren't uncommon, and the alley below my window was a favorite spot for late-night deals and drunken shouting matches. Ignoring the noise was second nature. The rule felt like a quirky warning, nothing more. Don't look. That's a chilling discovery. The phone you bought seems to hold clues to a mystery, and that last video could be critical. Here's how you might proceed, balancing curiosity, ethics, and safety. Preserve the evidence. Don't delete or alter anything on the phone. Back up the data securely, e.g., to a password-protected external drive or cloud storage, to avoid accidental loss. If the phone is locked or resets, you could lose access. Assess the content. Without sharing sensitive details, consider what the photos, messages, and videos suggest. Do they point to a specific location, person, or event? The last video, recorded minutes before the disappearance, might contain timestamps, landmarks, or people that could be key. Note any patterns or recurring names. Research the disappearance. If you suspect the owner vanished, check local news or missing persons reports from around the time of the last video. You could search online or on platforms like X for mentions of disappearances in your area. Be cautious about sharing specifics publicly to avoid compromising any investigation. Contact authorities. If the content suggests foul play or a missing person, turn the phone over to the police. They can investigate properly and may already have a case file. Bring the phone in a sealed bag to preserve fingerprints or DNA and explain how you acquired it. Pawn shops often keep records, so they might help trace the seller. Ethical considerations. Avoid sharing or posting the phone's contents online, as this could violate privacy or interfere with an investigation. If the person is missing, their family or friends might be affected by public exposure. Pawnshop inquiry. Ask the pawnshop about the phone's origin. They may have details about who pawned it, which could provide context. Be discreet to avoid tipping off anyone involved. If you want to dig deeper without risking legal or ethical issues, you could share general details about the content, without personal info, for advice on next steps. Ask me to search for missing persons cases in your area if you provide a rough location and time frame. Request guidance on analyzing the video for clues, e.g., audio, background elements, without compromising privacy. The pawn shop's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I stood at the counter clutching the phone. Its cracked screen flickered, each notification a ghostly echo of its previous owner. The clerk, a wiry guy with a name tag reading Marty, barely looked up from his magazine when I asked about the phone's history. "Bought it off some dude a month ago," he muttered. "No ID, cash deal. Happens all the time." His indifference only deepened the unease gnawing at me. Back home, I locked the door and sat on my couch, the phone glowing in my hands. It was a cheap Android, scuffed but functional, with no lock screen, oddly careless for someone who left so much behind. The photos were mundane at first. Coffee cups, sunsets, a dog with a lopsided grin. But as I scrolled further back, the tone shifted. Grainy nighttime shots of empty streets, cryptic text messages with no replies, and then the videos, shaky clips of a figure moving through what looked like an abandoned warehouse. The final video, time-stamped 11:43 p.m., March 12, 2025, was different. It opened with a woman's face, maybe late 20s, her eyes wide with urgency. Her voice was low, rushed, barely above a whisper. "If you're watching this, I'm probably gone. They're closer than I thought. The key's in the..." A loud bang cut her off, the camera jerking wildly before going black. My heart pounded. The video was 47 seconds long, and those seconds felt like a confession. I replayed it, pausing frame by frame. In the background, barely visible, was a rusted sign, Haverford Industrial Park. The name rang a bell. Some derelict complex on the edge of town, shuttered years ago. The messages on the phone mentioned Haverford, too, alongside a name, Elliot. One text, sent an hour before the video, read, "Elliot says meet at the usual spot. Don't be late." No reply followed. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was holding a piece of someone's final moments. The responsible thing would be to call the cops, but something stopped me. What if this Elliot was still out there? What if the they she mentioned were watching? I opened my laptop and searched for missing persons in my area. A local news article from March popped up. Clara Monroe, 28, reported missing after failing to return from a late-night meeting. The photo matched the woman in the video. My cursor hovered over the police department's number, but then I noticed a new notification on the phone, a text from an unknown number, time-stamped 5 minutes ago. "You have it. Stop digging or you're next." My blood ran cold. The phone wasn't supposed to be connected to any network. I hadn't inserted a SIM card. I stared at the screen, my reflection distorted in the cracks. Whoever sent that message knew I had the phone, and they were watching. My hands trembled as I gripped the phone, the words, "Stop digging or you're next," searing into my brain. The room felt smaller, the hum of the fridge in my apartment suddenly too loud. I checked the locks on my door for the second time that night, then sank back onto the couch, the phone still glowing with that ominous text. No SIM card, no Wi-Fi connection. How the hell was someone messaging me? I powered the phone off, half expecting it to buzz again, but it stayed silent. For now, sleep wasn't an option. My mind raced, piecing together what I knew. Clara Monroe, 28, missing since March. A cryptic video from Haverford Industrial Park, someone named Elliot. And now, a threat from an unknown number. The smart move was to call the police, hand over the phone, and wash my hands of this. But the text felt personal, like I'd already crossed a line just by looking. If I went to the cops, would they know? Would I be painting a target on my back? I opened my laptop again, my fingers hesitating over the keys. Haverford Industrial Park was a 20-minute drive, a sprawling ghost of a place. Empty lots, crumbling warehouses, and chain-link fences. I'd passed it 100 times, but never stopped. If Clara's last moments were there, maybe answers were too. But going alone, at night, after that text, that was asking for trouble. Instead, I searched for Elliot and Clara Monroe together, hoping to find a connection. An old post on X from a local news account popped up. Clara Monroe, local journalist, last seen with colleague Elliot Reese near Haverford Industrial Park, March 12th. The post linked to an article, but the page was down. 404 error. I dug deeper, finding a cached version. It described Clara as an investigative reporter working on a story about illegal dumping at Haverford. Elliot Reese, her photographer, was questioned, but claimed he'd left her at the park to meet a source. He wasn't a suspect, but the article noted his evasive demeanor. No mention of him disappearing. I cross-referenced Elliot Reese on X. His profile was still active, last post dated a week ago. A cryptic photo of a rusted key with the caption, "Some doors stay locked for a reason." My stomach churned. Was this the key Clara mentioned in the video? I clicked through his posts, mostly artsy shots of abandoned buildings, but one from March 10th showed a warehouse interior that looked eerily like the background in Clara's video. Same cracked concrete floor, same rusted beams. The phone sat on the coffee table, its dark screen taunting me. I could try to trace the text, but that was beyond my tech skills. I considered calling the pawn shop again, but Marty's apathy suggested he'd be useless. Haverford was the only solid lead, but going there felt like walking into a trap. Then I remembered the video's audio. There was a faint hum, like machinery, and something else, a low voice in the background, unintelligible. Maybe enhancing it could reveal more. I plugged the phone into my laptop, copied the video, and ran it through a free audio cleanup tool I found online. The hum became clearer. A generator, maybe? But the voice was still muffled, like someone speaking through a wall. I caught one word. Shipment. It wasn't much, but it aligned with the illegal dumping angle. Was Clara onto something bigger than a few barrels of toxic waste? A car door slammed outside, and I froze. My apartment faced a quiet street. Late-night visitors were rare. I peered through the blinds, heart pounding, but saw nothing. Just a parked sedan under a streetlight, its driver obscured. Probably nothing, I told myself, but the text echoed in my mind. You're next. I had 3 options. Go to Haverford and poke around, track down Elliot Reese, or take the phone to the police and hope they'd handle it. Each felt like a gamble. But sitting here, doing nothing wasn't an option either, not with someone out there watching. I couldn't just sit there, staring at the phone like it was a ticking bomb. The sedan outside hadn't moved, its dark windows mocking my paranoia. Haverford Industrial Park was too risky, and tracking down Elliot Reese felt like chasing a shadow who might already be involved. The police were the safest bet, but that text, "You're next," made me question who I could trust. If Clara, a journalist, had stumbled onto something big enough to make her disappear, the wrong move could drag me into the same void. I needed answers before handing the phone over. I grabbed my keys, slipped the phone into a Ziploc bag to preserve any evidence, and headed to my car, double-checking the locks as I left. The sedan was gone, but the street felt too quiet. I drove to a 24-hour diner a few miles away, a public place where I could think without feeling like a sitting duck. Settling into a corner booth, I ordered a coffee and pulled out my laptop, keeping the phone tucked away. Using the diner's Wi-Fi, I dug into Elliot Reese's digital footprint again. His X profile had no recent activity beyond.